precious. I just wanted to start off really by celebrating the year that Year 10 have had, and all the things they've thrown themselves into. A bit of a flavour of which you can see here behind me. We've got our CCF, drama, our Eastbourne trip, music, and it's been brilliant to see the year group throw themselves in with such grace and good humour, and it's been lovely to see other aspects of their character developed beyond just the academic. And you'll see that in recent weeks as well. You'll know from my weekly communications that Year 10 have been stepping up to the prefect roles these last few weeks with Year 12 out on their exam leave. And we've been so impressed by the level of maturity, responsibility they've taken. What a great example they've been for the younger years, as no doubt people were for them before. And we're really excited for the future. We're excited for Year 11, we're excited for beyond that, the kind of opportunities that they might grasp that come a calling, or indeed the opportunities hopefully that they might even create themselves. Now for the rest of the evening, we're going to hear from Mr. Cady, our Director of Key Stage, and from Mr. Cole as well. And then we'll have some more time that will just be your own to continue chatting as you have been doing. And we'll have some Year 12s as well circulating, who you'll be very welcome to chat to. And I'm sure they'd love to tell you a little bit about Wilson's, their life in sixth form, or indeed anything else that you have to ask them. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll leave you in the hands of Mr. Cady.
How lovely, actually. Your sons spend a lot of time here, don't they? And it's wonderful to actually be here and see the building, meet some of the staff face to face, not online in a parents' evening. We are real people, but wonderful. We really want to make this a fun occasion, and just a time to chat and meet some of us. Do meet the sixth formers, please. Okay, the boys have given up their Friday evening willingly. And I think it's lovely. And they're here, so take the opportunity to have a chat. We've got some staff here, Mr. Rock, and then the sixth formers over in the back. Anyway, do talk to us afterwards. We're going to keep this very short. You may remember, I don't blame you if you don't, but when you perhaps came into school at the beginning of Year 10, you would have had a short talk from me and Mr. Lismore, and I think a good one, Miss Park, who was interviewing now, a lovely baby girl, so she, I'm sure you got to pass on her congratulations. And I remember talking about, well, Year 10, parenting in Year 10 is sometimes challenging. It's a time where they perhaps push some boundaries, and even having a chat with somebody this evening, we can relate to that. But what we thought it would be lovely, just to start, thinking a little bit about good communication, healthy dialogue with your son. What does it look like? And you guys will probably all have views on this. Is it difficult? Is it easy? What's working? What's not? And I'm going to take a moment to ask you perhaps to have a chat, if that's okay. It could be your partner you're sitting next to, that's fine, or it could be a neighbour. How are you finding dialogue with your son? Is it going okay? Is it a bit different? Has it changed? Please have a good chat. They're great. They have their moments. They're not perfect. We all know that. But they're going to grow up as fine young men. And if I could just briefly share with you some thoughts about how do we keep that dialogue going. Just before I do that, it's nice to chat now, isn't it, when the pressure's off. You know, they've done their RE exam, and so perhaps things are a little bit more chilled. And sometimes that's a good time, isn't it, when the sun's shining, to think about these things. And to perhaps put some things in place for when perhaps the rain might come. As JFK said, fix the roof while the sun's out. And I think the sun's out. And it will be over the sun. There should be no pressure for your son. He worked hard all year, and he deserves a very good break over the summer. Genuinely, and that's very important. So my role is I'll be looking after them in year 11. And then, that's when sometimes the pressure starts, and that's where sometimes the rain comes. But it's good to talk about what works while the sun's shining, isn't it? And we really feel that it's a good time. Just over the years, a few things, just a few tips about keeping the dialogue going. And I'm sure none of this is rocket science. Please don't feel that I'm the expert on this. But equally, listening, isn't it, is very important as a parent. We need to take time, and actually, we really often want to naturally give answers. If our son says something, we almost immediately want to solve it, don't we? That's just something that I've often felt. Rather than just stopping and just listening and just validating what they're saying, yeah, gosh, that sounds tough. Inside, I'm thinking, you need to do this, you need to do that. Just let them work it through. They will. It may be some gentle prompts, but validate how they're feeling. They've chosen to tell you something, and that's fab. That's great. Okay, and that's important. And if you suddenly jump down and say, right, do this, do that, then they might not be less inclined next time to sort of say, actually, I'm worried about this, or there's this problem, or that. So that's something perhaps worth thinking about. I famously heard a quote, as a parent, try and say yes more than you say no. Now I had to reflect on this, and I did think over the years, did I say yes more than I said no? I suppose it's showing that we trust them, isn't it? And say, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, you can go to that party, or yeah, okay, I trust you with that. I remember teaching both my elder sons to drive. That was a big moment of trust. But what does it show? If you show you trust them, then they often live up to that trust, and and I think that really matters, and that really helps. Oh gosh, when they're little, it's so easy to give them praise. They literally just stand up, or they well done, remember that. But how about giving them praise when they're 15, 16, 17, 20, 24? Everyone loves praise, don't they? I like praise. And it's just a really important thing to remember. Sure, you won't overdo it, because they'll cotton on to that, but praise really helps. And I think it's important. Yeah. Yeah, we've all been there. I literally have a picture in my mind of my 15-year-old son, a few moments. I'm not proud of it, where I lost my temper. I'm not proud of it, but cross. Sometimes it's okay for them to see that, sometimes. But equally, we're the adults in the room, aren't we? If we just, okay, not going to react to that, come back to it later. Come back to it later. But again, I'm not saying that's something I got right all the time. Trust me on that. But I think it's important to think through, isn't it? Oh, this is so important, isn't it? Particularly with boys. A boy is never going to look you in the eye and have an open and honest discussion in perhaps the same way. I don't know, I've not had girls. Ask Mr. McLaughlin, he's got 3 girls, and we will talk about this at some point. But boys tend to talk when they're doing something alongside. So I do, when I remember, I sort of think, right, well, I'm going to start playing FIFA and sitting next to them. I didn't particularly want to, I was a busy dad, but I just spent time doing it with them next to me, and it was funny. The number of times that perhaps they might have said something while we were sitting there together, not even looking each other in the eye, just alongside, doing something together. And it's those moments, particularly for boys, where they'll probably just say something. You think, right, that's my moment, and then I still do that. I took my two youngest, they're not young, they're 19 and 21, a couple of weeks ago. We went out to the Yorkshire Dales, and we just did something together. We just went for a walk, we went for a hike. I'm not going to say we had amazing conversations while we were walking, in fact, it was very quiet, but I did something with them. They know I'm here if they need to talk to me. They didn't need to, but they didn't particularly at that time, but they may well in the future. Because I'm available, I'm there, and we're doing things together. So why don't you use the summer, do some nice things together, and don't worry if there aren't massive conversations, just hang out. That's the recommendation. Really important. I can't stress the importance of trying to work together. I know it's really tough. Work is tough. It's challenging. Deadlines. Mr. Cole is forever getting me working. Like tonight. But if you can eat together, it's so important. Try and leave the phones to one side. Try and get that good habit while the sun's shining. Agreed? So when it's raining, when things are tough, you've got these things in place that have just been gradually built in, and then perhaps over a period of time, will help that dialogue. Keeping that dialogue going. Those are just a few thoughts. I'd love to talk to you more about it over a few drinks afterwards. Remember, I'm not the expert, but I do believe in these things. I think they are true and they are right. So, thank you for listening. And looking forward.
Sorry, Mr. Cady. I'm sure you'll get home at some point before 10. I was reading a quote about raising teenagers. I rather like this. When your child is little, all you want is for them to play alone in their rooms for an hour so you can have some peace and quiet. And then they become teenagers, and all you want is for them to come out of their room and actually talk to you. Along with, and I think this is an important one to remember, I never realised just how annoying I was until I raised a mini version of myself and started arguing with him when he became a teenager. And I think it is worth remembering that we were all teenagers once, and we all perhaps had experiences of pushing or seeming to push our parents away, or where we desperately wanted them not to go away, where they would complain about doing things together, complain about eating meals together. But actually some of my fondest memories now as an adult are of some of those family meals where we did things together. But I would like to, before I give my own few words of advice, thank you sincerely for all that you do all of the time. One of the greatest privileges for staff here at Wilson's is to work with parents who really, really care. And you can't buy that. You really can't. The fact that you're here this evening, the fact that you've given up part of your Friday shows how much you care. And we want to say thank you for that. And we mean it sincerely. We know that it's not easy to ensure that someone gets everything done and you arrive on time. And there will have been bumps in the road. But actually your support when there are bumps in the road and your trust in the school is at most of the most important time for us. When we're all on the same page, working together for your son's future. So I want to say a few things of advice. And one of them is about the fact that we all understand, of course, that being academically well qualified is helpful in life, and you're not going to hear me say that it isn't. But actually aiming too close at the target and thinking it's just about that, rather than about your wider experiences in life, it is not actually a successful recipe for happiness, or indeed probably academic and professional success. So I want to offer just a few words of advice, some tips, some practical points for the next few months, and hopefully a few of them land. I really like this quote, and I think that if we think of your son being in the boat, he's probably paddling furiously against you at times and with you at others. But what's really important is that we, the school, and you, the parents, are paddling in the same direction. That is absolutely essential. And some of the few occasions I can remember over the last 24 years of my teaching career where things go wrong, it's where the parents start paddling with the child when the child is actually not making good choices. So I want to give some ways in which you can paddle with us that might not seem obvious. And they might be things that you do all the time, and then you can feel really good about yourselves, that this is something that is already very much part of your family life. The first, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this, is try not to talk about the future as though it is fixed and determined. Teenagers do not like that. They do not like you to say, oh, I can see your future, you're going to do X or Y or A or B. They might nod along because they want to make you proud, but they want to see the future as something that is open, something that might, happen to them in a whole range of different ways. Not A that leads to B, that leads to C, that leads to D, that leads to retirement, that leads to death. It's not motivating. And I think as a parent you will have views, and your son will have views of course, but try and talk to him about the future as an exciting, undetermined time in his life. And make good choices now so that every door you want to keep open is open, rather than saying that you're doing this to achieve just this. Take my advice on that. Now, every pupil that leaves Wilson's is well qualified. Every pupil. So I want to make some distinctions about what makes the difference with the best of our pupils. Those that make the greatest success of their lives and are, frankly, the happiest in those lives. And I suppose that one of the things that we have to be aware of is that with their age, coming into being 14, 15, 16, it brings challenges, but it brings possibilities. It brings possibilities for them to go places without you, to travel in London for free. They are in the capital city, one of the most vibrant capital cities in the entire world, and now is the time when you can begin to encourage them to use that free travel, use that age, to have greater experiences in a structured way that will undoubtedly benefit them in ways that you cannot measure, but they're still of immeasurable importance. And so the first thing I want to kind of frame this as is we're looking not to just great well-qualified young people or even kind young people, but future leaders. And future leaders can have as many sessions as you like in public speaking, but if they've got nothing to say, then they've got nothing to say. This is much more than about how you do in your biology, your chemistry, your maths, your history, or your English. It's about your life experiences and what you can bring to the relationships that you have with your colleagues, with your family, and with your friends. In London, there are hundreds of things that you can do for free. It's amazing. The British Museum, for example, with collections that cover Egypt, Africa, the Roman Empire. The National Gallery, one of the greatest art collections in the world. The Grant Museum of Zoology, that was created for the foundation of what is now UCL. The Natural History Museum, the Science Museum, the Bank of England Museum, the Imperial War Museum. They're free. And getting there is free. So with a summer ahead of your son and age on his side, why are we not trying to tick some of these things off, to get these experiences, to have this opportunity to see London? As a boy that grew up in the north of England in a tiny village, I can tell you, I was desperate to see London. If I'd have had free travel and the ability to just get out there, then I would definitely be making real connections with the capital city in which I was living. And you never know when that knowledge might spark something, or when that knowledge or experience might just be useful in a small talk conversation over a drink, at an interview, or at a conference where someone says, oh, what would you recommend in London? Well, since a kid, I've recommended the British Museum. I went there when I was 15, and I loved the British Museum. He doesn't like it, that doesn't matter. He's experienced it. And teenage boys always said they don't like everything. Everything. So, the experience of coming home and then saying, what's for dinner? Whatever you say, it'll be wrong. My least favourite. We're going to do something as a family. Mr. Cady said we should do something as a family. Oh, don't listen to Mr. Cady, right? We're going to do something as a family. Whatever you say, he will say he doesn't want to do it. But actually, you will remember from that period in your life that you wanted your parents to want to be around you, really. because you're still a child, but you had adult ambitions. And so I would encourage you, and we'll send obviously the slides around, to think about this as just one example. Being culturally aware, not having a narrow education, not just thinking that knowledge is a way to pass an exam. Because if that's how he sees knowledge, he will be capping not just his professional and academic success, but his happiness. Because some knowledge is just fun. Some knowledge is just exciting in and of itself. Similarly, it's extraordinary how cheap you can get tickets aged 15 to 21 for the National Theatre, for the Royal Shakespeare Company, for the Young Barbican, for the Young Vic. They're all trying to get young people into the theatre. And actually, because of the age they're at, you don't have to go with them. It would be great if you could, but I appreciate that theatres can feel very, very expensive. They're not for young people below the age of 20, 25. And actually, some of these tickets are as little as £5, where you'd be paying £90 as an adult for the same seats. An evening at the theatre, and again, perhaps don't pitch it straight off this evening, but plan it together. Or the fact that at the National Opera, under 21s go for free. There's a link there to all kinds of musical experiences at the Royal Ballet, the Opera House, at Blindbourne even, £5 tickets at the Wigmore Hall, even to just feel you've been in the buildings that these things happen in, that you've been to formal situations and know then how to behave in these situations, where you feel comfortable with someone saying, oh, have you been to the theatre, what have you seen? Well, I saw this, I didn't really like it, but overall as an evening, it was enjoyable. And again, this speaks to the trust that Mr. Cady was talking about in your son. Trust him to go. So long as he agrees when he'll be back and where he's going, and he checked in with you, trust him to go. And I know it's hard to kind of accept this, but this freedom to choose, but also the fact that they have to deal with the consequences of their choices, is part of growing up. And no matter how much you try and protect them from everything, as a parent wishes to, they will learn most from their own mistakes. So they have to be given safe environments within which to make those. And frankly, there aren't too many mistakes you can make at the English National Opera. The National Trust, many of you will be members, but as a junior member, you can join the National Trust for £12 for the year. And that gets you into all kinds of places that otherwise you'd be paying £17, £18 for. Parks in London, museums in London, things outside of London that you might go to or not go to. But given their age, they don't need to have an adult accompanying them. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is reading. And actually, there was never a thinker that wasn't a reader. You do have to continue to find the ways in which you enjoy reading. And sometimes schools and parents can get this wrong. I would have said this, I'm sure, to you in Year 7, and I say it sometimes on open evenings, that just saying to your 10-year-old son, here is Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, enjoy. I remember being given a book by Andrei Solzhenitsyn when I was 12. I hated it. I didn't know what was going on. Oh, you're good at reading, Nathan. Read this book. What's this? I didn't understand it. I didn't have the contextual knowledge to understand. It wasn't right for me. There are some brilliant websites these days, witchbook.net, which is the one here, where you can choose books by the emotion you want the book to have, or the part of the world it's set in, the kind of character or plot that you enjoy. If you're the kind of family that loves sport, then high-quality sport journalism, that's good too. And why is this important? It's not just for knowledge, it's about your son's vocabulary. If he ceases to read at the age of kind of 12, 13, 14, his vocabulary will cease to develop. And when it comes to those interviews, when it comes to those entrance tests that are in, funnily enough, written English, that vocabulary has not developed sufficiently from the high bar that you got it to when he was 11. Wow, it was a slight one. I'm trying to be breezy with you. But it's really important that you don't think, oh, well, boys don't read. Our most successful boys do. And they found things that they love reading. It's not a chore, because with their parents, they found things that they enjoy reading. Now, if your son loves reading, encourage it. And I'm going to say something right now about all of this, is that there's no good as an adult saying to your son that he should do things if you yourself don't do it.
Yep.
Sorry. If you don't read, and you're saying it's a really good thing to read, it doesn't land. It just sounds like hypocrisy. No matter how tired you are from work, just pretend. You know, just... Get a book in front of you, turn the pages every now and then. Your phone in the middle, you know. But I give you some websites there that I think are very helpful. Again, no matter what pathway your son might think he wants to take to A-level, he will always have to communicate in the written word and spoken word. That will always be the case. And it's one of the things that frustrates me the most about some of our sixth formers who become well qualified. That you ask them to write something persuasive, you ask them to put together an essay ready for their medical aptitude test, and it's just as good as it would have been when they were 13. They've stopped reading, and they don't think it matters. It matters. But it matters to enjoy it for its own sake as well. Nearly there. I think our future leaders need to be politically tuned into what's going on in the world. And wherever your son gets his news will determine a lot about his worldview. And if he gets that from social media, that's the problem. So it's really important that you might be ardent readers of the Telegraph, but that has a bias. The Times has a bias. The Guardian has a bias. It is important that he's attuned to a range of sources of high-quality journalism. We use something in school called The Day, which is politically neutral, balanced always, but actually The Week is an excellent magazine. It's really excellent. There's something called The Week Junior as well for younger students, really up to the age of about 12, 13. And you can try it for six weeks for free, I think, at the moment. And the reason it's so good is it takes things that are topical and gives balanced views. Some people think this, some people think this. It's high quality journalism rather than, well, I've seen on TikTok that. I've read online that. You know, the BBC might have its detractors, but there are more people looking at the BBC to ensure balance than anything else. So if he's reading the BBC, if he's looking at some high quality journalism or considering The Week, that's how he can make sure that when he's having a conversation at an interview for his economics degree about how current political situations are affecting the market, that he doesn't say, what? I had to read something about news? Now, one of the things that every constituent is entitled to is a free tour of the House of Parliament. You just write to your local MP and they have to provide it. They don't have to provide it within a week or so. They book it in advance. So for the summer holidays, or for October half term, or for February half term, not during school time, thank you, it is possible to get a free 75-minute tour. You pay a fortune for that otherwise, but your son's entitled to that, as are you. So, my final kind of words here before we go and have some food, spill out into the grass, you have the opportunity to speak to start with here and the year 12s, is to say that being on the boat means being on the boat. It doesn't mean being on the banks shouting at your son to paddle in a particular direction. You've got to go with him the distance. Mr. Cady said, whatever you're asking him to do, you should try to do with him at times. If you think it's a good idea to go to the Wigmore Hall, you should at least go with him. If you think he should go and see some free things in London, you should go with him. If you think he should read, you should read with him. If you think he shouldn't be on his phone as much, then nor should you. Because the greatest role models that the children in the building have are you and us. And if we're all on the boat paddling in that same direction, they have that greatest chance of that happiness and success far beyond the qualification. So doing the greatest job, so this evening, when you enjoy a little bit of food, and you have an opportunity to speak to year 12, ask them questions about what worked for them. You know, don't say how annoying you in year 10. So we're going to spill back out into the dining hall. There's going to be food, and both sides, or the two sides of the table, have the same food. There doesn't need to be one queue, if you think about everything else. There can be two separate queues. Then we're going to spill out onto the lawn outside, where you can have a chat for as long or as little as you want. We don't want to trap you in the building. But thank you very much for coming and thank you for listening.
What's going on when you came in? Or you had, is there like a speech or did that talk?
Yeah, it was informal. Some guy put some good stuff about people here today.
Oh, yeah.
Reflect like the old times and then they had to change their mind over there and realise that something looks like it's relevant.
Sure, we didn't get one of these, so we're quite curious as to what actually is going on.
Oh, okay.
This might be the first.
I think a few of the teachers were.
Yeah. Yeah. Or was it interesting? Was it?
It is.
Yeah, that's good.
It was interesting, interactive, and that's this boosting mystical.
Yeah, we do like that.
So what's your like plan, like what subjects that you have chosen?
I think biology, chemistry,
Okay. So you'll continue to which university like why not Cambridge? Because this is quite good, right?
Cambridge doesn't have physics. It has the matter sciences.
Stephen Hawking was in
But there are physics.
YouTube was in both.
Got too early.
Yeah, because I started reading his book and I was like, I guess 10 years old. The bestseller. Yeah, so it's amazing, and the book was amazing because he was doing his research and he had to get money to pay his friends, to pay his bills, and he had to write books for his research and the things that they were doing. And the main problem that he has to fix is that he's a science student, he's a science researcher. Means naturally all his writings would be with a load of equations. And the publishers hate that. Common people they don't understand. Right? So here was the condition. Every equation you can deduct some amount, like $10 or whatever. End of the day, he wrote that entire book, just only one equation equal to h squared. And there's no other equation in the book. If you read that equation, you will understand the mind of a genius person. And it doesn't have to be complicated, because they are science, they are so simple in their logic. I was fortunate to read one of the Einstein's written, of course Einstein written in German, I don't know, so it is just translated in English. If you read Einstein's general theory of relativity, He's so lucid in it. So wow, what a difference. He can write in such a simple language for normal people to understand. And it's awesome how he used the principles of Lorentz principle and that whole.
Thank you for coming on a Friday evening.
Yeah, being like scientific communication is quite important. I'm trying to do medicine, and it's really important as well. And I went to a placement, and my guy, he specifically said
Yeah.
being able to communicate what's going on with your patient and talking about something in a way that they can understand is one of the most important things, as important as your actual knowledge. So I think, yeah.
And I feel in my experience, the better you understand, the better you can explain with to explain somebody things very easily. You have to understand, grasp the piece of it, core of it. Then you can make him understand much better. You don't understand yourself, make it complicated to show up so that he doesn't understand or he doesn't get what you're trying to say.
What about you guys?
This is why the genius scientists, they write it so clearly that common people can understand fundamental, absolutely.
Yeah. It was quite charismatic in how they say the stuff. They're quite famous.
Whatever you try to understand in life, try to understand with a simple mind, will always be there in your mind. Never forget.
Yeah.
It may be the study subject in the school, it may be a complicated, let's say, medicine logic, or a theory, or how our pathological systems work. The way we can understand in the simple way and always be there. And you yourself enjoy it about fundamental laws of nature, of how it works. Anyway, you carry on.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say that when you're teaching it to someone, it's the same kind of thing. You have to actually understand why it's working. Instead of just saying, like, in the exam you say this, but you need to, if you're teaching it to someone else, you've got to have the same kind of thing. You're like a tutor.
Fundamental understanding.
Yeah, you've got to build it up as well. Seem like a very smart gentleman.
Yeah.
What do you think? How's your son doing? Do you think he's as engaged in scientific?
He's engaged in two ways. So I find he has two means. First of all, he likes biology a lot. He finds physics also is very something he can sail better. Not very smoothly, but very smoothly. Because I myself was like physics very, not as a subject that science students should study, but as a subject that we live in our daily life. Physics is physics. Alright? It's not something you read in the school or go to the lab.
Yeah.
Every movement, everything is physics, right? I try to put that he loves equally loves biology. At the same time, he likes business.
How do you feel when you
Okay.
Subject.
Yeah.
Because he kept teaching me about, or telling me about all the investments and companies and stuff. So he has kind of potential. He thinks about an amalgamation of business and medicine together. So that's his kind of
That sounds quite good.
yeah. So let's see. Senior 10.
This guy's work cut out for him. It's a lot of work.
So what would you suggect? So
I do further maths, English, biology and chemistry.
So
I'll do it.
yeah. So do you you are choosing medicine for your university, and for that you need to go for maths and further maths.
You don't need further maths, definitely not. But you need maths and chemistry, and most people used to take biology.
Is there any cutoff on your GCSE exam that you must obtain to get it, like grade 9 and stuff, etc.?
To take a subject in A level, our school, you have to get a grade 7. But also, certain unis, they base it off of your school's average. So if you do below average, they'll take some of the points off. If you do better than average, they'll put. But that's the extent at which GCSEs matter, which isn't too much. Yeah.
What do you think? Like when you go to uni, GCSE weighted versus A level is
A levels also, I don't, not for medicine. You just need to. They give you this offer, the conditional offer, where.
I'm talking about the selectors.
Oh, sorry.
How do they weigh, like on the GCSE grades or on the A level grades? What's the percentage? Let's say, if there is like the weighing of your achievement at the GCSE level plus A level altogether is 10. So there's like 5 and 5, like GCSE, like how good you did in GCSE is 5 and plus how good you did in A level 5, or it's like GCSE 3. You see, like weighing, like weightage.
I think it'd probably be equal in that you need to get a certain level of A levels. You need to have that, but it kind of depends on what uni you go to. With your GCSEs, you also just do as well as you can, right? And specifically in some subjects, you want to try and maximise in those.
And about that,
Extracurriculars are probably as important or more important, especially your son, if he wants to do medicine. You need to have some practical experience. For example, I did a placement in a GP and also volunteer for mentally disabled children. It's good to be able to have the experience and also be able to talk about it in an interview. With medicine, you get interviewed a few times. So talk about what you learnt, what you gained from it, and what you think about your experience. Other than that, in medicine, you also have another test with the GCAT, and that's really, really important. And then you have your interview skills. In your interview, you'll be asked, like, if you get in this situation, for example, we get practice interviews in medicine. We have this club where Dr. Hubbard, who used to be a doctor, and he would give us interview questions and talk to us about it. So one of the examples was your patient shows up and this is his blood readings. He had elevated blood pressure, stuff like that. And you say, okay, as a not practicing doctor, I can't tell you much from this, but if you were to ask me, I could tell you this. You've got to follow protocol. You need to be able to have that interview technique.
Okay.
That's also reading the news. There's a lot of medicine news. They'll ask you, what do you think about the recent, for example, abortion in Texas? You need to be
aware of the.
Yeah, you need to be ruled as mentally mature enough to have an abortion. What do you think about that? Do you think that is valid? Do you think that's good for? In medicine, you have these 4 pillars of ethical considerations: your justice, your non-maleficence, your beneficence, and your fairness. And you need to be able to weigh it and give your own opinion and show that you're engaged in the subject. So there's a lot. So yeah, your son it's got work, but it's a lot of work, especially for medicine.
Okay.
Yeah. He does physics, right? So it's a lot of learning concepts, as you said, understanding things, and showing interest in physics. Like saying, I keep up with physics news, and this is what I think about it. This is what I've read, and sometimes you write articles. That's a lot of the extracurricular.
Do you not think that at some point it's all amalgamation?
Yeah, they do have to come together. Also, a lot of the time. Sorry?
I'm not talking about the
Because I
profession.
think what I understand from it is if you get a good grade,
We have specialization
Yeah.
in basic.
in the
I know a lot.
Is it
physics.
We don't.
okay, yeah,
You
that's
don't
what
have to, you don't have to worry about it. There are lots of things that
Because
need
there's
to
a
be good.
specific
It is a big
at some
undertaking.
point people see
But then you
it is
get
not your
something
age
like
to understand
0.5
that.
you don't need to have
These
kind
things
of
are all
space. And if you
amalgamated.
get good, obviously.
That is true, and there's an argument to say,
Physics,
and
what
there
we
are some
see,
universities that
cannot
produce a
exist
grade
without
offer for an EPQ. It doesn't replace a subject.
what we
They might say, oh,
nurture
we've got
in
this
this.
case that we can do.
What I mean by that.
It is a big undertaking. We feel strong. There are things that is very good. It makes some research and very good.
Anatomy is a part of medicine, right?
We do a
It works
mini
on the
version
principle of physics.
as part of
All sense of its joints,
Just
liver.
started now.
Yeah, they just say temperature.
Yeah, we just started it. So
For example,
it's academics,
muscles and
focused,
bones.
research.
If you go deep inside,
starting it and then
you will
provide
find those
about
patterns
it.
and
The skills that gives, the
quantum
research,
mechanics and everything. So
the expertise, it
again,
gives the verbiage.
chemistry comes in
They're the
because when you have acidity, you
things
get acid and it is neutralized.
you can do an EPQ without that.
So what I feel
And
is
actually,
like
the vast majority of offers from university
it's a universe. So we kind of try to segregate into different verticals. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's
mostly
amalgamated.
but in those
Into
three
the
can you
system we call the world.
down. Some
I
institutes
feel like we draw kind of arbitrary lines.
We
Of,
have to.
this is
Otherwise, we
right.
cannot specialize and we cannot progress because everybody cannot take every information. This is why specialization comes into picture.
still develop skills for us.
If I don't give all information on the world, political news, physics, chemistry, geography, language, everything,
The extra work
when will that
might yield and reduce grades versus practice
because for us,
find it what we do and
we have to
able
make
to
choice.
to the actual
Choice comes from
and so we don't
definition
think we need to do anything different.
that
I think
suits our ways to grow and survive and succeed.
But instead of taking, because they study 5 subjects, so, and which is not like,
It's not with what if they do further maths, it is a bit
B,
like
first thing,
and the pathway to can access
the
to.
first thing
but
is
instead of 4, you come to 3
this is the first natural grading
Or at AS and the students
Second is
so they won't be
which
forward unless they choose
or
if they're taking further maths.
let's say
I do see some
ruling
benefit.
society exist.
For our students with our profiles. As
I dump you a lot of information with politics,
and there are some
you would exist. You will not. That's why you choose
if you're an institution
to make a profession and specialize that.
very good thing
So
to reduce
even if it is amalgamated altogether in the world, but because we created specialization, we as a society can thrive. When somebody falls sick, somebody specializing in medicine can have more information.
but I thought I asked because I
More
think some
information about how the brain or motor works. More
There
information
are
about the
valid
body
points to be made there, but
so
the
that
idea we thought about it, we still think about it.
the brain can work at the full capacity of that information. This is
Have
why
you any-
purposefully the specialization in the human society has been created. Even in the animal society also the specialization is
lost
in the
performance
pack.
at any level, 16 years.
Have you ever seen an
They
wolf pack?
are
Wolf
quite
pack,
sick.
you always see the old and the small one in the middle of the pack. In the front of the pack will be like the juvenile one, who are like agile and can run prey. At the back of the leader, the alpha male, always at the back, and like overwatching the entire group. So they also create their position because they know who is specialized in what. Just we are all living packs, so we have to have our specialized ability already taken by ourselves, chosen by ourselves during one go, in terms of subjects as well as abilities. Understand what you want to?
Yeah, I get it.
I just don't want to like bore you with philosophical fundamental talks. Anyway, yeah, it was really nice to talk to you. Thank you. And I wish you a very good luck for your future journey.
Yeah.
I wish your son luck. Thank you.
And generally also for career advice.
Leave it, sir.
And I know universities have different days, but
I'm going to drop English, I think. I'm going to take 4. Next year,
some universities invite
you're allowed to
some
take
children
3 or 4,
rather than
but
coming
not
in
5, yeah.
Yeah, they do. If I'm going to be honest, it's they do it.
Yes, I've got maths, further maths, biology, chemistry, and English. Some people take 4 this year if they don't do further maths. Further maths is kind of like it's not a full subject, but it's another kind of thing. What is your son thinking of doing maybe in year 12? Yeah. No, the interview process starts for medicine. It starts quite late. It starts later, maybe in November, December of this year. You send your applications at the start of next year. But we do practice interviews in specific societies.
so I also work in
So in year 12, there'll be like a physics group, or there'll be a computer science group, and they'll have, if you want, they'll have some meetings and talk about what are you working on, what should I work on, something like that. Yeah, there's not an engineering A level that we do. It's more of like further maths and physics, maybe chemistry or something.
I went to
Yeah.
King's
There's a lot this year. I think it's around 40. That's a little group. There's around 30 or 40. Yeah, it's quite a competitive kind of area.
So I see a lot of things
A lot of people do medicine.
Obviously they have
A lot of people do engineering as well.
I mean, I'd absolutely love it.
After that, it kind of
they were offering
goes down. Yes.
STEM children year 10 in July, and that's the week that we
Definitely, yeah.
and
I'm friends with 3 people who do non-science, and I think they're the only people doing non-science.
things like that.
There's not many others. Particularly,
I mean,
there's 3 people doing English. I think around 4 doing history. There's not many people. I do English for AS level, and my classes are very small, so you get a lot more time with the teacher, and you can talk to them a lot more. You can ask them a lot more questions. It's a lot of work
being
as
in
well.
that environment,
Yeah.
seeing and
Yeah, we finished 2 weeks ago. We have further maths in 2 days, but yeah, that's an internal one. Some subjects you don't have an AS level because they just don't offer it, like a philosophy. So instead you have one created by the school. But yeah, I think that people should take a humanity in their year 12 because I think that it's really good to write really clearly. It changes a lot and it's more interesting now. I know that if your son's really a science guy, English might not be that interesting. It does change and it does change quite a bit. It's more interesting now. Are you enjoying this evening? Are you?
Good idea for
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, the school's also trying to get like the students to become closer. So year 7s can talk to year 13s a bit more openly. So next year I'll be taking over leadership opportunity with year 10s and stuff. So I guess if you have questions, you can definitely ask people who are a bit more experienced. Yeah. Honestly, I was really lucky.
Who's taking music?
Music.
Yes. Sunny has music as a subject, but I'm not sure because he always finds it very hard for the theory and especially the listening and the recognition.
Yeah,
So did anybody come in your group?
not here.
Not here. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
What did he do? He probably music? No, no?
I think there's 3 people doing English. Sorry, music in this year.
Okay.
Right, there's not many of them. But
They did
music GCSE.
Yeah?
Yeah, GCSE or ASL. Yeah.
Who did GCSE? Him? Oh,
Yes. Sorry. We didn't have this in our year either, so I think it's quite nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. It's the GP that I go to, and we just asked them one day, could I do? And then because we've been there for a long time, and sometimes you leverage the school's quite reliable. So they said normally we don't take on placements because it's quite a small place, but they said, okay, we'll take on you. So I'm the only one who's actually, no one else does that. So I got really lucky on that place. And now that I have a GP one, I can apply to other ones quite easily. But it's really hard to get the first one. I did volunteering at this youth camp where I was with mentally disabled children, like they had autism. So that's really easy to get into. No one does it, but it was a really good opportunity. It was really, I talked to a lot of children and they were really, really nice, it was really rewarding. And you just do it for a summer and it's really quite great actually. I think it's quite easy to get something like that specifically. I just went there with one of my appointments and then we asked them and then they said, okay, here's my number, you can talk to us a bit more. But it's a really small GP. It's not a big huge one. Yeah, it's not. So they normally don't do something like that. Yeah. They're really short staffed. So if they want, they all take on volunteers really easily. You don't need a DBS check, which is like saying that you haven't been a criminal. It's really, really quite simple, actually. You just need to know, like, extracurriculars. Like, yeah.
Okay. Like work experience.
Yeah. It's quite. No one does that, but if you think of that, or if you want to do something like that, it's really easy. Your son will probably get a lot from it. It's really quite good. So, yeah. What did you do?
With all these work experience. I was actually in a primary school.
Why'd you sign up for that one?
Had I signed up for that? My dad had a friend who works there. He set me up with it. Honestly, that 1 week of work experience, it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. It's not proper work experience. But I'd say just as long as your son does something that you can learn from that you can gain something from it. And it's working with other people that you might not want to work with and things like that. So it's not what specifically what you do. Just do something that you can get.
Because after GCSEs, the school makes you do a week of work experience.
Yeah.
So I did my GP, he did his in primary school. Try and get a lot from it actually.
Yeah.
It can be quite good. It isn't worth it.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, it's more about like the experience of being in a proper workplace.
Yeah.
It is a week though, it's 5 days.
Volunteering is good. It's a good thing you're doing.
It's a good thing.
So at least at the end of the day you can say I did a good thing. And you did. So I enjoyed mine.
Yeah, honestly, it's really useful. Like, it's fun. As I say, it's 5 days. You get you enjoy it even less.
You do physics.
I do physics.
Yeah. I'm going to get some water. I'll leave you to it. Sorry.
You said I do physics. Do you have any questions about university?
subjects are you applying for?
I want to do English and then law after that, which I would say if your son does want to do a musical subject, he needs to put in quite a lot of effort because the school is less helpful with humanities. They've got really good STEM departments, really good maths departments, really good physics, chemistry, English. History's quite good, but English, things like that, you need to put in more effort. Law's alright, you've got a law society,
University.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I want to try and get into Oxford. I was also thinking maybe Edinburgh, just good.
When do you have to apply for the university?
I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing medicine, or you want to apply to Oxford or Cambridge, then you apply earlier than the rest of the people. So I think medicine, you want to do medicine.
I don't know.
It's next year. It's start of year 13.
Yeah, start of year 13.
Probably around October, same as Oxford.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, same.
So Oxford, Cambridge, and medicine, any university, medicine, is around October.
Because medicine, you get interviews. All of those you have interviews. You need to get interviewed. Yeah, for all medicine unis, you get interviewed, and all subjects in Oxbridge get interviews.
Yeah. So obviously applications start around October. If it's for other unis and it's not medicine, then you could be applying around December. And then you hear back start of next year. So it's all in the SLC. But to build up to the application, I was also saying things like that starts this year.
Yeah. It's all of year 12, basically.
All of it, it's all leading up to the application process. So it's really important as far as possible that you know what you want to do from the start of your project.
Yeah.
So you can hit the ground running.
It's not ideal, is it? But you do kind of need to have a really good idea at the start.
You do, yeah. Because I think the way they differentiate between good candidates is who's a good candidate and who's really interested in their subject. You could have two people who all got fantastic grades.
There's so many candidates that can be people exact same stuff.
Exactly. They can have the exact same grades, but it's their interest in the subject that differentiates it. So, for example, for medicine, it's needed life experience, needed, and it's all of these things that you do outside of school to show interest in your subject. And then that leads into a personal statement. You can put it in your personal statement. This year, we're doing it in a few weeks' time. We've got this TSP project, and it's an extended essay project. Everyone has to do it. You pick a subject, you pick a title, and then you do like an undergraduate style of research on an essay. So you need to, it's really useful because it helps you. So it helps you kind of explore an area of your subject
Really deeply. Yeah.
really deeply. You learn how to cite sources, you learn all of these academic things you didn't do. But that's at the end of this year. That kind of stuff that leads up to the personal statement, it leads up to your application. It starts right from the start. So it's really good to have an idea. Get on it.
They say it's good to have a story of your application. I say at the start, I did, for example, my placement at the GP. He told me something about this which inspired me to do some research. I was with a lung nurse, and she was talking to me about a lot of respirators, and I got quite interested. And right now, I'm doing a competition where I chose a question about emphysema, which is a similar thing. So you want to have like a story to say, what did you gain from it? And then you say, oh yes, then I decided to do this. You want to have like a kind of story element. You want everything to go together. Yes. It's quite nice.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't had them.
Decided what college you want to decide to?
I haven't. I think that's the last thing I'm probably going to decide. I don't really mind that much.
A lot of the time in Oxbridge, in Oxford, 60% of applicants don't go to the college that they applied to. A lot of the time they just get put in another one that needs more applicants. In Cambridge, it's lower actually. In Cambridge, a lot of the time you go to the one that you applied to. where
Is that because they're bigger? Or is
it's a different system. Yeah. For my brother, he applied to, I think, uni college. But he got to a different random one. Colleges they do matter, but because it's so random, I'm not gonna care. Yeah. There's a lot of stats that you can look at though. Yeah.
What difference really is there between colleges apart from
So there's like two that are really bad in Oxford. Some of them are closer or farther away from, for example, the English department. You don't want to go all that way. There's different tutors. So in Oxford, you have like 3 times a week, 1-on-1 or 3-on-1 sessions with a professor. And the tutors in those are very different, and they can be better or worse. There's different histories and different cultures. There's this one called Merton that's really academic focused, and a lot of the people go there. They're really serious. That's what my brother says. There's other ones that are kind of specialised in a single subject. I think New College goes for medicine. Medicine's big in New College, stuff like that. So you gotta do some of your research. Yeah. Open days start around this time of year. So if you want to go on an open day, you've got to start going now.
Also, I should point out that if your son doesn't want to go to Oxford or Cambridge, there's these really good programs. They're kind of like, they include a summer school, but they also help you like apply and everything. They're called, I don't know if there's a name for them, but the one that comes to mind is one that I applied for, is called Unique, with a Q. Basically,
Unique with a Q.
Unique with a no, sorry, just the Q, no UE at the end, just UNIQ. If your son's eligible for like free school meals, if he's a carer, things like that, bursary, and he gets into it, they basically give you every couple of weeks, they give you either supplies for applying to Oxford, they give you these lectures, you get to watch actually like undergraduate level lectures from actual professors at the university. It's really helpful, and then at the end there's a summer program where you go in and you get to experience life at the university. And applications for those are around winter time as well. So you want to be looking at those around December, maybe January, maybe November, around those kind of times. It's really helpful. And I think there was this statistic where it was like, I think it's like 1 in 8 people, or is it like 3 in 8 people who do one of those programs who also apply, get in. And it's not really because you get some sort of special cost, it's more that they prepare you so well. I mean, obviously it's still competitive, but it's really, really helpful. So I'd say, if you're eligible, do it.
You did know.
Wow.
Oh, that's good. Like personal statement, feedback, stuff like that.
Things like that, yeah. Personal statement, you get to see what it's like. Yeah.
I think with your son in year 10, not much to worry about right now. Honestly, GCSEs are quite important, so you don't want to overload right now. A lot of your work comes in year 12. You do a lot of stuff in year 12. Yeah. Year 12 is the year.
I'd say, honestly, year 11, the only thing, year 10, don't worry about it. Year 11, the only thing you need to worry about is A-levels.
GCSEs.
And GCSEs, obviously. But I think you can handle it. They're not too difficult. They're really not. It's A-level subjects. You kind of need an idea of what you want to do.
It's a clever class, yeah.
GCSE related studies.
Yeah, we did it this year, right? He's doing it this year. Oh, he's just done it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How did it go?
A lot of people getting lower grades in the mock test.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, in the mock.
I think it's because I remember our year, we did terribly. Everyone in our year did terribly. Me too.
That's the thing, though. Mocks at our school
kind of change.
They kind of change. They compare your son's grade to everyone else in the year, rather than nationally. GCSEs are obviously assessed nationally.
Our further maths thing, 83% was an A. In the AS level, it's 65.
The mock grade boundaries are completely
I don't know.
unrealistic.
I don't
They're
know.
really not
Yeah.
realistic. I mean, for maths, the grade boundaries for A
Yeah,
level,
it's so stupid.
it was the grade boundaries for B is the actual boundaries for A.
It's 20 marks higher than it should be.
Yes,
Don't worry. Do not
don't worry
worry.
about the maths. GCSEs, they're going to be fine. If your son did well in the mocks, he's going to do these types of GCSEs.
Yeah. They're really hard. So that's kind of the point.
They're really hard.
Uh-huh.
If I use 9 to
Yeah. Yes. He does 4 AS levels, I do 5. It's not much of a difference. Not really.
It's just further
Yeah.
maths, you can choose further maths.
It's not much of a difference. I think your son probably will as well. Yeah.
At the moment, I'm not much to worry about.
Yes, sorry. We don't mean to worry you or anything.
We
right?
don't overload.
Try and keep it in the back of your mind, maybe. Yeah.
So if you want to do medicine,
I think I'm applying to Oxford and then also Imperial. Then after that, I don't really mind. After that, because medicine, you just need to get into a med school, then you're set. You don't. It's not as competitive like getting into a good med school. You still need to get in a good one, but it's not like for example physics, where you really need to get into a good one. It's not the same. Yeah.
you decided on what college to
No. I think I'll just choose which one's closest to the medicine department because I don't really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it shouldn't matter too much. Imperial's the place on both.
Is it?
Imperial's good.
London,
Yeah, London Uni. Yeah. There's a thing where some people just don't want to go to a London Uni, and I'm one of them. But if I am going to go one, I'll go to Imperial. People hate London, and I hate London. So
there is a
yeah,
reason.
yeah. So a lot of people apply to Bristol, Manchester, stuff like that.
Just bring Russell Group.
I hate London.
If you hear of any students leaving at after their GCSEs to go to other places to do their A-levels?
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I haven't kept in touch with them. It's really.
No, I haven't either.
Some of them go to private schools now.
I think most of them that left to go to another school went to a private school.
Yeah, they normally go to private. Okay. A different thing is that some people come into school in year 12. So I guess the experience is that some people adapt really well and they make a lot of friends. Some people just don't. And I try and make friends with them, but it's a lot harder. I don't know if you're thinking of trying to get to a different one, and no bias as a Wilson student, but I think that we're a good enough school.
I think we are good enough.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if it's not going to be a part of the school, I wouldn't bother going to another school.
Yeah, there's some people just. Some people, new people, just don't talk at all. And it's a shame to see.
It is, and I try to speak to them, but I can't force them to integrate into it.
You heard of some King's College maths school?
A DTO went there.
Did it?
A DTO, yeah, one person, I think. It's really hard to get into. There was like an interview, right? Yeah, it's really difficult. A DTO was probably one of the smartest people in the year, right?
Do you think it's just for people who want to do maths at university?
I think that King's College or King's Private School specialises in maths. I think that's in other ones it's different. I have a friend who didn't make the entry requirement for Wilson's. What's the entry requirement? Like 56, right?
For Wilson?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, 56.
Yeah.
Is that for us or is it for
us?
I think it's like 68. It's quite high. Or is it like 62?
Well, Wilson's?
Yes, Wilson. Or GCSEs.
Yeah, so...
GCSE level.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, no, it's
60.
It's a bit higher than this. If it was 56 plus, I think it's going to be like 62 for them. Because most people that get in, they got really good grades. I mean, they
So
got better grades than us.
they add up the top 8 of your grades, like you get 9999988, something like that. You add them up and you have to be over 56 to stay in, or like 60 to get in. Yeah. So one of my friends didn't meet the entry requirement, and now he's in Whitgift. No, he's in Summerface down at Greenshaw, and it's not ideal, is it? So yeah,
and it's
probably
a
awesome
limited amount of spaces as well. I mean, it's, how many people join our year?
that's a lot actually. That's
It's
a
more
lot.
than
Yeah.
usual, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still like 12 people.
Yeah, 12 people. Yeah.
So it's really hard. It's hard.
There are some specialists. There definitely are some specialist schools. So yeah.
Yeah. But you don't need them necessarily.
You don't need them, definitely not.
Listening's good enough.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is there a minimum GCSE requirement to stay on that Wilson?
Yeah. So you add together the top 8, I think,
Yeah,
right?
top eight.
8 of your grades.
And you have to get over 56.
So you do 11 GCSEs to get the top 8. One of them has to be your maths, and the other one has to be one of your Englishes. Then you have 5 other random ones, 5 other of your top ones, and have to add up to more than 56. So that's just 7s.
Yeah.
You need
all seven.
all 7s, which is not too difficult. My Latin teacher told me if you've got a grade 9 in year 9, then you'll get a grade. If you're in year 9 and you got a grade 9, then if you took the exam right then and there, you could have got a grade 7. So it's really not too difficult. Like, not to like downplay or not to be mean, but for most people, staying in isn't a struggle. They have personal goals that are much higher. Yeah.
What did you say you did for your workplace?
I went to primary school. How are you doing? I mean, honestly, it was. I've never obviously worked in an environment where I actually had to, I had like boss, I had things to do. I mean, it's kind of different because it's school, it's an institution that's geared towards loving us, it's for our benefit, right? But working anywhere, whether it's a primary school or whatever, you learn that you're there to serve that institution rather than it serve you. So anywhere where I wouldn't stress about it now, although there are deadlines to some of the more popular work experiences. There's law work experiences, there's engineering work experiences, things like that, which you need to keep an eye on. I can't remember when. Do you remember like the Sub-C7 engineering stuff?
Oh yeah.
Remember the engineering work? Do you remember any of the deadlines? I think they run them every year, yeah.
You just search it.
You can search them up. And it's one, the school will tell you about a lot of the bigger ones.
Oh, is that
You just need to keep an eye on the deadlines. But honestly, if you don't get into any big engineering company, it's
no worries.
It's fine.
So it isn't about the number of things you do, it's about what you can say about them.
Yeah.
So you need to be really focused. Say, if you have a placement, after each time you say, okay, what happened? What are my reflections? What have I gained from this? You've got to be quite analytical.
When you ask questions, learn about it. If you are doing your work experience in relation to your subject, then ask. Yeah. There's many people that have gone through the system and they can help you Yes. Extracurricular activities. What I do.
You write poems.
Okay, but that's not for my application. So the thing is, universities, what I will say is they care more about super cool. So that's things where you So
Ranavan maybe?
yeah, he might, yeah. It's things that you do to show interest in your subject. So that's really what you need to focus on in your job.
Yes.
In terms of extracurriculars, they do help. It's good to have that subject as well. So for example, I do there's this program in our school called Outreach. When he does it as well, I don't know why he's not. Basically, you volunteer. It's for like an hour a week, and you help out people in their bike, in local schools, so they can get in. You can play with them to do 11 plus. It's quite fun, but obviously I don't know whether I'll talk about it on my personal statement, but it is really enriching. It does really help.
It's a good thing to do, as like a person. It's a really valuable. In our community, people may not have like the money to buy a tutor or something like that. So he's got a mentor, one-on-one. I've got like a whole class of year threes. But
Did either of you do CCF or RAF?
No. I opted out of that one. Philip does. Philip does it still now.
When
Flag option.
have you done? CCF, I've heard is also really good. It kind of goes for
Did you do CCF?
I did.
The funders or RAF?
Oh, Aria.
So how do you think CCF has helped you with your application and anything like that? Yeah, did you say?
For Aria, it might actually, because it's like planes and satellites. But maybe for like aeronautical engineering, but apart from that, not.
Did you get anything out of it?
Yeah, did you get anything?
Yeah, no, that's
You think interview technique?
No.
You're like a serious man now?
Do you feel disciplined?
No.
Okay.
Did you go
Oh,
on
you already.
holidays or camp?
Yeah.
Are they quite regular?
I mean, it's like there's summer camps and then there's like one halfway through the year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were the attendance optional?
Yeah.
So what subject are you applying for?
Physics.
Where do you want to do that?
I would like to do Oxford.
Have you decided on any college?
I was thinking of Balliol. Balliol would be nice, but I know it's also quite competitive. Maths, further maths, physics, chemistry, and biology. And I'm dropping biology.
The normal procedure to do 5 and then drop 1.
If you do further maths, for the rest if you don't do further maths, then you do 40. You can drop to make it to, if you do further maths, you have to. Yeah.
Did you have to do AS levels?
Yeah, we have AS. All subjects have AS levels apart from philosophy, music, and further arts, which have internal exams.
So AS levels is graded like GCSE?
Yeah, it's about.
In the next few minutes, do go home. Sorry to interrupt.
What's the big leap from GCSEs to A level?
I know for Brighton DQ there was quite a bit. I didn't find it too bad myself.
How many of you year 12 attended this evening?
I think it was maybe about 10 of us.
Did you all volunteer for it?
Yeah, we all volunteered.
What are your favourite teachers?
My favourite teachers? I like my maths. I think I like my maths teacher, Mr. Prentice, is also Miss Fashion, who also runs his RA. And I like the researchers, Dr.
Do you all wear ties according to what house you're in?
Up until year 11, yes. After year 12, in the sixth form now, we can have the tie.
What summer work
I did one of biology lab, which wasn't too related, but it was still great to do.
How did you get into that workplace?
Nepotism. So my mum works in human resources there. But it was still nice to do.
Okay.
Anything
Have a good day.
I mean, I've been to Oxford and then I visited the college and it was very nice. I also have seen some of the professors. I like what they're doing. It does seem quite nice.
Good luck.
Have a nice day.